In the studio is political analyst Olukayode Salako. Good morning and thanks for
morning.
joining us.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Nice to see you.
My beautiful sister and handsome friend.
Thank you. Of course, joining us from our Abuja studio is the national chairman of the Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, Abda Kabir Shitu. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Let me start with you, Alhaji Kabir Shitu. Since you're a politician, mainstream politician at that, how does President Buhari's announcement of his interest in running in 2019 come to you? Because the PDP is saying, thank God he's running, he just makes our job a lot easier.
It does not come to us as a surprise because it is a tradition in the democratic setting. So his contesting election is already a known fact that worldwide, democratically, the president that served first term can also go for the second term. It is a tradition.
Okay. Well, it's a tradition, but one way or the other, now, if looking at the antecedents so far the past 3 years, what, in your assessment, is there to sell to Nigerians about the candidature of President Buhari in your own assessment? I'm staying with you, Shitu.
Okay, looks like he didn't get that question. I'm sure Olukayode will be
exactly. Kaide, let me come
ready
to you
to
on
answer
this.
that. Yeah.
The point is, the past 3 years, a lot of Nigerians have one thing to say, some for, some against, and all of that. But those are personal perceptions. If we have to come back to the real indices, the real analysis, the real systems, and from all the indexes on ground and all of that, what's your assessment of the president?
Well, thank you very much. My own personal assessment of the person of the Mr. President is that he has appeared to me like a sincere person, someone who came into governance with the mindset of helping Nigeria to come out of this doldrum of economic problems. He came in with that mindset. But in democratic governance, the politics will always be there to either work against your intention or work for it. And so far, I think politically, the politics has worked against the intention of Mr. President. Simply because he himself didn't want to play the politics. There is no way you can run a successful democratic, or let me say civil governance, without that necessary politics to run it well.
Has he not played that politics in that NEC meeting of yesterday that was expected to be a make or mar outing, which turned out to be
a very seamless meeting.
Yeah,
just
a soft landing for the chairman of the APC, for example.
Yes.
Yes.
He has just started
Playing
the
the politics. Okay.
In the past 3 years, since he came in, the first thing he said was that I want to run the government of everybody and to nobody. And so far, until recently, he was treating his party, the political interest, influence of his party like a nobody. He was treating some of the prominent stakeholders in his party like nobodies. And that is why the party had been swimming in that problem, until he now realized it. Where was Mr. President when the NEC came out to announce to the whole world that they were illegally going to be elongating the tenure of Oyegun and
the National Working Committee?
The National Working Committee. Where was he? Mr. President kept quiet. He didn't want to talk about it until he now realized that, well, it was necessary for him to now come in to save the party from collapsing. So, governance apart, politics apart, in the assessment of how fair any democratic governance has gone. In my own assessment of the way he has run the governance, my heart is still with Mr. President, because I believe that he was brought in, at the time he was brought in, to come and help to change the old order way of doing things in Nigeria.
Okay.
So, but politically, he has not fared well. Until recently, when he started providing leadership to his political party.
He has not fared well politically, but he has fared well in governance.
Yes, in my own assessment.
Okay, I wonder if Alhaji Kabiru Shitu agrees with Kayode here in the studio. In other words, has President Buhari earned the right, not necessarily as a Nigerian, but in terms of performance, to want to say, Nigerians, give me another chance to govern you? I don't want to use the word rule. To govern in 2019?
That is why democratically there's 2 terms, and for the first term you now look at what the president has been able to do, and can he go for the second term, now left for us Nigerians. I could access him in another way, and another people access him on another way. But when we go to election, the vote count, because you can't disenfranchise him. He has right to go for second time. You can't take that right away from him. He has indicated his interest. It is left for us, the Nigerians, to say, yes, we are bringing you back because you've done A, B, C. Or through our ballot, you are not coming back because so thing. So it is freedom of choice, and everybody will make his choice. For now, his fate lies on his party. Are his party ready to bring him back as their candidate? That will they win election if he comes back as their candidate? That left for them. For us, we are also to look what is our interest as a party, and then we took up on our interest, and then it has opened wide the race, and we believe that everybody will go into the field and slot it out. All right, we sell our manifesto and constitution, and they will also sell their manifestos, and parties allies could align with each other, and they could go on their own. It depends. It has opened a wide range of choice for Nigerians.
Kabir, let me stay with you on this. The point there is, when the president was coming in his first term in 2015, he campaigned on 3 basic issues. That was talking about fighting corruption, talking about fighting insecurity, and also revamping the economy. These were the 3. So anyone who is going to hold the president, you hold him on these 3 promises he has made. Now, what do you think from this last 3 years? Now he's saying, well, I've checked my records and I've done well, and I want another term to consolidate on what I have done. But in the minds of Nigerians and from your perspective, what do you think, judging from these 3 perspectives, how are Nigerians going to assess him and vote? What's going to be the voting patterns when it comes to those 3 points?
For us, the choice remains for the electorate. We believe that in the area of security, definitely wherever you are, you know that we have got relatively peace as a country. And in the area of corruption, it depends on what corruption means for your own group. As if fight corruption earnestly, as if fight the corruption according to the expectation of Nigerians, they will express this during their balloting, and the ballot will show what he has done. For us, for now, is to concentrate, for him to get his party ticket, for us to also be able to get Nigerians that are ready to sort it out with him, and then we see, we meet at the middle. But as a personal opinion, he has been able to do well in the area of security. We know that in those days, in Abuja here, you are bombing everywhere. We've seen what they have done in the area of these Dovchi girls. We have seen, although there is no country or people that will stay without one violence or another, but how government respond to those security situations matter most. So we will wait until the electorate was able to tell Nigerians or say whatever they want to say through their ballot.
All right.
We believe that.
All right. Let's bring it back to.
Go.
All right. Thank you very much for that submission. Olukayode Salako. This might not really be the proper place, really, to want to do that assessment of Buhari's performance based on his show of interest for 2019 to run again. But the point is, Human Rights Writers Association, Huriwa, they've been questioning the mode of putting that particular show of interest out there via Twitter. Many of us found out via Twitter yesterday. And that's why we're discussing this. They are saying if Buhari really wants to run again in 2019, it behoves on him, you know, the onus lies on him to either hold a town hall meeting or call a press conference, with journalists and all of that, and make that face-to-face announcement to Nigerians and not via Twitter. Because they are saying, after all, about 90% of Nigerians don't even have access to Twitter anyway. So is there anything fundamentally wrong with the way he has come out to announce his interest for 2019?
Well, there is nothing that can be wrong about that. If you want to announce the date of your wedding, you first of all announce it to your family members.
Face to face?
Face to face, yeah, which he has done.
Okay, at the neck meeting.
He has informed his family members that he wants to do another wedding again. And after that, the next is the invitation to start telling people outside the family environment, which I believe Mr. President is still going to do. You see, the problem with most Nigerians around this time is that we all have access to this social media, revolutionary instrument of expression. Everybody has access to that. So it is very easy now.
Not necessarily everybody, about half of the population does not.
Well.
And that half is really the voting population.
You see,
come to think of
my sister, almost every phone in town right now has one way or another of informing people. Even if you don't have the Android phone, there are some of these small phones that messages still come. So, with the new social media revolution, the 180 million Nigerians will always expect anybody who is the president now to run 180 million different types of governments to satisfy them.
Which is almost impossible.
I want to bet it with you that the next person that will take over from this president will also face the same problem. Because when the president does anything now, somebody somewhere through his phone who will be available to counter it, to tell him that he has not done it well, to tell him that, oh, it should have been done this way. Oh, that is not the way it should have been done. That is what is happening in Nigeria right now.
Based on reactions in social media since that announcement, on social media, for example, Twitter and what have you, are you able to aggregate and say this is the thinking of Nigerians about President Buhari and, on the one hand, the APC on the other hand, and his style of governance or his performance, or how he's been able to deliver?
Well, from the platforms I run on social media, I have been able to see that Nigerians are sharply divided. There are those on the divide of Mr. President is still the best for the job. We will vote for him. There are those who feel, never again, God forbid. So, Nigerians are divided. But I am on the divide of those who still see Mr. President and his vice, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, as two responsible and disciplined men for the job. They have not run Aso Rock so far the way the previous government ran it. The previous government ran the Aso Rock system like a circus. But these ones, they have been running it to change the narrative, the tradition.
But what's the difference when the indices say that Nigerians are poorer now, and then the corruption index is higher now, and the more people are unemployed now, and all of that? What's the essence of running an Aso Rock where the people are not feeling the impact?
You cannot be repairing a house, a badly dilapidated house, without some levels of discomfort. This is the same way Lagosians were crying when Fashola was doing it in Lagos 8 years ago. This is the way Lagosians were crying. But today, everybody wants to identify with Lagos. Everybody wants to live in Lagos. Lagos is one of the best places anybody can live in Nigeria today.
So in other words, we need to go through the pain before we get the gain.
The children of Israelites went through it.
Kabiru Shitu
they faced their Jordan.
All right.
Kabiru Shitu is still in Abuja, of course.
Exactly. Kabiru, let me come to you on this. Your party APDA, let me ask you this. Let me put you on the spot now. Will your party be fielding a candidate for the 2019 election?
Definitely, that is why we are a political party. We have interest. And then when we put up our presidential candidate, I believe Nigerians will see the difference. And I believe Nigerians will see a young, vibrant Nigerian that will take them to the dream, will fulfill their dream for them.
Yeah, but you still feel that President Buhari has a lot going for him. According to you, he has done well on the security front and
has done well in corruption.
In the fight against corruption and all of that. So why would you want? I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, like they say. What would your candidate do better that Buhari is not doing now?
For us, we believe that they will look at his manifestos and look at our APDA manifestos and be able to marry the two or look at what can we do for Nigerians and what have they been doing for Nigerians that we want to do differently. And we believe that for now, let's confine our interest. His interest is within his political party, APC, until the APC now made him a candidate. Before we can now start saying, okay, this is our own manifesto. This is who will contest with us. This are party that will align with us. Or this are party that we as a party want to align with. So we still have time. All the terrain now is open wild. We have 68 political parties. I believe they will also present their presidential candidate. They will align. They will be aligned and realigned between now and September.
All right. Let me still stay with you, Kabiru. When we ask some politicians and members of different political parties what their unique ideologies are, sometimes they are not able to define what the ideologies of their political parties are. And they talk about providing this, our political party is here to provide this and provide that, which is not necessarily the ideology. But you are there as the chairman of APDA. Talk to us about the unique ideology of APDA that makes it different from other political parties that want to stand as an independent political party.
For us, APDA is a nationalist ideological political party. We believe that it is time for this country to go to look at some of our interests internationally and within the country. What our interest in the country is to make sure that we provide jobs for Nigerians. And you can't do this without putting up industries, industrialization. And then we should also not, we believe that Africa is the center point of Nigerian foreign policy. We should now change it now to look at other interests. What our interest, because you don't go to war, we fought war in Liberia. What is Nigerian interest in Liberia today? We help apartheid. What is our, what have we got in apartheid? Why are we today impoverished when we have everything? As a country, we are supposed not to be a beggar. And why are we begging? Why are we a beggar country, a pariah country today? Why do we go cap in hand as a country to go and be begging for money? We as a party will ban that. We will not allow people to go out of this country to go and beg for money. We will make sure that as a nationalist, we change our foreign policy interest. What are we doing with World Trade Organization? What are we talking about the depreciation of our naira when we cannot even produce anything in Nigeria? You have no reason to depreciate your naira. Okay. We have no reason to remain in World Trade Organization when we have nothing to even produce and sell to the world. We've turned our country into a dumping ground where anybody can come and dump. These are what, as a national interest party, we are going to curb. We won't allow it. We won't allow. Why are we having proliferation of arms? Is because you allow NGOs to go out and be begging for money in the name of coming to help the country. How much they give you a meager amount and promote violence and conflict in your country.
All right, Alhaji Kabir Shitu, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much. Alhaji Kabir Shitu, of course, is chairman of Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, APDA. Thank you so much for joining us. Now that President Buhari has announced his interest, a number of generals have written letters that they've made public. Don't run in 2019. As a matter of fact, Olusegun Obasanjo came out with even stronger words not too long ago. Let me just forget to use the words that he used. How do you think they'll be reacting now? What would they be doing now that he has announced his interest? Are they going to go back and re-strategize? Or?
Well, let me establish this, that I have been a prominent member of the third force. Two people started talking about it 2 years ago. I'm the second person. I'm involved. But we all are taught Mr. President was not interested in the politics, so he will not be able to run the politics. So the necessity for the third force. But we all are also taught that since he said he was coming to do only one term, Mr. President was supposed to do only one term. That was what he told the nation. So people like General Obasanjo and co had thought, okay, he was coming to do only one term, as he said, and he will leave for the realignment of political forces again and for fresh political candidate to be presented. But what has broken the camel's back is the fact that Mr. President has been prevailed upon by his people for him to continue. Now he has announced that he's continuing. What I feel is going to happen is this. The third force will continue to organize to present their own candidate or our own candidate.
Okay.
And APC will also continue to prepare for Mr. President to be the candidate of his party. PDP will present, and Nigerians will decide who they want to be the president in 2019.
All right,
That is it.
Olukayode Salako, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And we thank Kabir Shitu for joining us earlier on from our Abuja studio. We have come to the end of today's edition of the program.